Now for a Court TV calendar call. We begin with a trial we are set to bring you beginning next week from Tennessee. The kept alive to torture murder trial. And it is, as it sounds, pretty gruesome. Defendant Sean Finnegan and his then girlfriend Rebecca Dishman are charged with murder, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse in the death of Jennifer Paxton. Well, the state is seeking the death penalty in the case. However, Dishman has pleaded guilty and in return for serving life in prison has agreed to testify against Finnegan. Prosecutors say the homeless Paxton was lured to the couple's home in December of 2019 with a promise of a place to stay. Well, then the couple held Paxton against her will, raping, torturing, and eventually killing the 36-year-old woman. Well, this trial gets underway on Monday. Court TV's Ted Rowlands has a look at the case.
August 5th, 2020, police in Oak Ridge, Tennessee investigate a tip that Sean Finnegan and his girlfriend Rebecca Dishman have a human body stored in their freezer. Local station WATE spoke with one of the neighbors about the day of the police search.
You could see flashing and stuff through the windows, a lot coming through.
Inside the home, investigators would find the frozen, decomposing remains of Jennifer Paxton, hidden under a bed. Finnegan had allegedly cleaned out the freezer in an attempt to cover up his crime. His neighbor described Finnegan's arrest.
When they brought him out, he had no expression. He was just there. There was no anger, no sad, no happiness. He was just there and stare, and it was really creepy.
Jennifer Paxton was 36 years old and reportedly homeless when Finnegan and Dishman lured her to their home by offering her a place to stay somewhere between November 1st and December 31st, 2019. According to court documents, Paxton died of strangulation, but there was evidence that she had been beaten with a baseball bat, repeatedly raped, shackled with a dog collar, and denied food and medical treatment before she was killed. One of Sean Finnegan's neighbors told WATE about how he was scared of Finnegan.
He's just, those eyes, I mean, just like a wild animal. And he cursed me, and I said, I don't want anything to do with that guy. And I was afraid of him from then on.
Prosecutors charged Sean Finnegan and Rebecca Dishman with multiple counts, including first-degree murder, kidnapping, and abuse of a corpse, and filed a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. Last September, Rebecca Dishman agreed to a plea deal and was sentenced to life in prison. She's expected to testify against Sean Finnegan.
All right, we go now to Ohio for the toddler stabbed murder case. A pretrial hearing is scheduled on Tuesday for Bionca Ellis. Now, she's charged in the murder of 3-year-old Julian Wood. Ellis allegedly stabbed Julian and his mother in the parking lot of a grocery store earlier this year. Now, during a hearing last month, the defense argued a court-ordered psychiatric evaluation showed that she was incompetent to stand trial. Well, Ellis's trial is tentatively set to begin on December 9th. And now to the OnlyFans model murder case in Florida. Next week, the defense team for Courtney Clenney will argue to get prosecutors dismissed from the case for allegedly violating Clenney's attorney-client privilege. Well, Clenney's attorney says prosecutors were able to access private family conversations with their attorneys and see key parts of the defense's strategy. Well, state attorneys gained access to Clenney's father's iCloud account. Investigators found messages depicting Clenney's family working with defense attorneys trying to access the laptop belonging to victim Christian Abumseli. Well, eventually, they did get in. Courtney and her parents were hit with computer crimes charges, but ultimately those charges were dropped. Clenney is accused of stabbing her boyfriend, Christian Abumseli, back in April of 2022. She claims self-defense, but prosecutors say the couple had a tumultuous relationship and that Clenney stabbed Abumseli in a jealous fit of rage.
Actually, done.
Okay, fine.
Done. Because you're costing me money. I didn't do because I got to this house because of you.
You let Milan say some line
No, because you flirting with like 3 girls the whole time.
3 girls.
That was just one of the many videos of the two of them fighting. Clenney is facing second-degree murder. The motion to dismiss hearing is expected to take place on Tuesday morning. All right, let's bring back in our guests. Still with us to discuss, criminal defense attorney Marie Pereira and former NYPD executive Corey Pegues. All right, Corey, let me start with you on this one. Let's begin with Clenney. Interesting issue there. Again, prosecutors, a previous judge found that they in fact violated the rights of the parents and Courtney Clenney. And they saw some conversations they should not have seen. Now the defense wants them off the case. What do you make of it?
I think it's a good idea, but I'm not a lawyer, but I do know once they got that information or saw that information, they should have stopped searching the phones immediately. So it's a toss-up. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Marie, I want to get you to ring in on this because I agree. I think at this point, the prosecutor's office, once they were found to have looked at protected communications, I think it creates a real problem. And the defense basically called it unethical for them to continue on the case.
I agree with Corey and I agree with you. It is unethical. Once they went in there and they saw information which they knew could have been privileged, they should have shut it down. And maybe shutting it down is not enough because they can't unsee that. And it does give them a strategic leverage on top of the defense that they shouldn't have. It is almost like the fruits of the poisonous tree. Whatever little bit they saw that they had no right to see, whether or not they went after the information and were seeking it, they saw it. So they should be removed, and someone who's completely neutral should be in charge of the prosecution because they can't unsee what they saw.
And the judge was very clear. She was not happy with the prosecution because usually what happens is if you look at information and you see that it could be protected, then you move on. You get it taken out. You don't look at it. Here they continue to look at it thinking that, in fact, it wasn't protected information, so they weren't happy. Corey, I want to talk about the case itself. Clenney still has an uphill climb. Just getting this stuff thrown out is not going to be a problem. Any new prosecutor is going to prosecute her on some pretty strong evidence. The issue for her, Corey, is the forensics. She claims it was self-defense. She claims that she was being attacked by Abumseli. She claims she threw the knife at him, but the forensics don't back it up. The ME basically says it's impossible for his wound to have been caused by her throwing a knife at him from 3 feet away, as she suggests. What do you make of her chances?
Yeah, listen, you know these cases really come down to who can get the best expert. So now her parents, they're going to have to get an expert to, debunk what that forensic expert says, and then it's going to be left up to the judge or the jury to make the decision. That's really what it's going to boil down to. But with the force that the knife went in, that's why the forensic expert is saying with the force, just throwing it, it could not have happened.
Yeah, and the angle. She's more concerned about the angle, the way it went into the body. It made no sense that it was thrown because of it kind of went on this downward motion as if she were stabbing him. Still, Maria, it doesn't preclude the idea that she was in some way defending herself, even though it doesn't help if it ends up showing that she was in fact lying to police at that time.
You know, she's going to have an opportunity to lodge several defenses. One is I was defending myself. Two, I didn't mean to do it. I had no intent. But all the motive that they are presenting is going to be problematic for her. All those videos with her calling him boy, with her telling him, you're making me lose money, slapping him, telling him, come here, spitting on him, allegedly, and being seen on video doing it. Put that together with the weird angle that it went in and it stabbed him like that, it makes it look like it was a jealous white girl who was feeling privileged with her black boyfriend, didn't treat him with respect, and just abused him. It was a case of reverse abuse of another person in a relationship. That's what this was. That's what at least prosecution is going to argue.
Yeah, we've seen it more and more in these cases where it's the young men or the men in these relationships that are being abused, Corey. But there will be testimony that there was some abuse coming from the other side. There were people who are going to come in and testify that they saw Christian Abumseli be abusive to her as well.
Yeah, well, but the problem, like Marie said, the problem is this electronic footprint that we have. Like, you can't unsee all of these videos. We're looking at a bunch of videos. I haven't seen any video of him assaulting her. We don't know, if they're going to come out with that later, if the defense has that. But all of the evidence we're seeing electronically on video is coming from her, and it looks like she was being the primary physical aggressor in all of those situations.
Yeah, it certainly seems to suggest that she's certainly capable of doing something like this and something that she's being charged with. All right.